there's only 3 teams in the NFL right now that I feel are true Super Bowl contenders. That's the Niners, that's the Eagles, and that's the Chiefs. The Niners are the best team in the NFL. They're the most balanced team in the league. People are talking about Brock Purdy, whether he should or shouldn't be in this position. Brock is playing great. He's playing very flawless football under Coach Shanahan, clearly with the defense that is kind of backing Brock Purdy. Of course, on the opposite side of the ball, he has a George Kittle, a Brandon Ayuk, a Deebo Samuel, a Christian McCaffrey. So is it all set up well for him? Yes, but it's not going to take away the fact that San Francisco is a 5-0 football team, just like the Philadelphia Eagles. Going on into the Eagles as well, another Super Bowl team, in my opinion. They were in the Super Bowl last year. Super Bowl runner-ups, NFC champions. Now, we do see Jalen Hurts take a step back a little bit. They did have that offseason where a lot of players got out of there, but they absolutely have a great NFL draft. They get some new coordinators in. So they kind of got some growing pains, right? But if there's anything true about the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of the day, just like with the Niners being the most balanced team, the Eagles are a very balanced team, and they might have the best trenches in football, offensive and defensive lines, sporting a Jason Kelsey, sporting a Jalen Carter, who was already getting recognition from many people around the world and really making it kind of pay for everyone that didn't want to take him there in the NFL draft. So the Niners and the Eagles, undoubtedly Super Bowl contending teams inside my Super Bowl bubble. And then I mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs as well, which is a no-brainer, right? We know Mahomes, Reed, the Steve Spagnuolo defense that's coming around this year. We're going to talk about Chiefs-Vikings later in the show, but the Chiefs are having some games in some instances in this year, not starting off very strong. Of course, Patrick Mahomes still needing to improve on what's happening at the quarterback position. Still a great quarterback, but we've seen a little bit of sluggishness with the offense out of Patrick Mahomes. But as long as you got Big Red, as long as you got Patrick Mahomes, and realistically, if you've got Travis Kelce in the mix, you're going to be a Super Bowl contender. They've been a Super Bowl contender for the past half decade, and nothing's going to change that. Now let's go outside the Super Bowl bubble. What are the teams that are just outside of the realm of actually competing for Super Bowl 58 this year in Las Vegas? Whether it's a flaw, they might not have played enough teams yet, or just straight up, I don't believe that they are going to be a team playing in February of 2024 to win Super Bowl 58. The first team that's going to be right outside for me is the Buffalo Bills. And I think this could be a given to some people, right? They go into London, they lose to the Jags, who really are underachieving this year. I didn't believe the Jags were going to play this bad, but the Jags are starting to come around. They get a good win over a Bills team, and then the Bills team beating the Dolphins. So there is some credibility to this Jaguars team beating the Bills. But centering back on Buffalo, they've got to get a run game on a more consistent basis. We see in this loss to the Jaguars, 29 yards of rushing offense. We see Josh Allen have some turnovers, trusting his arm a good bit. The Bills kind of feel like they're in the position that they are the last few seasons. They're blowing out teams big, but are they really that good of teams? Are they really putting games away early on? Are they having convincing wins thus far? And I would really say only the win over Miami is going to be convincing to me, because I'm not impressed with a blowout of the Raiders, one of the worst teams in the league. Not impressed with a blowout of the Commanders, one of the worst teams in the league. Of course, you lose in week 1 with Josh Allen throwing the interceptions, but the Bills still have some work to do. I need more consistency out of them against higher competition at this point in the NFL season for me to put them inside of the Super Bowl bubble. So they're just outside right now. They really could be on the line, but I'm going to leave them outside. Another team that's just outside out here, going to stay in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I think the Baltimore Ravens can easily become a Super Bowl contending team, and some of you out there might already think that they are a Super Bowl contending team. But when you look at what the Ravens are doing, when you look at where the Ravens are at in this position of the year and how Lamar Jackson still has plenty of room for improvement, they still have a lot more not a lot more players. They still have to get completely healthy as a team. And I love what the Ravens overall are doing. And I want the Ravens to realistically be able to compete for the Super Bowl. I said it coming into the year. Lamar's going to return to form. They're going to have that real elite smash mouth Ravens team, one of the fastest in the league. They're still working to get towards that. The Ravens are just outside the Super Bowl bubble. The Miami Dolphins, I think it's very clear right now what the Miami Dolphins are in terms of contending for a Super Bowl. Tua is great against bad defenses and not as good against good defenses. And that's been clear over this season and last. He's got to stay upright. He's got to stay up behind that offensive line. We saw how different that line looked when Teron Armstead went down in that game against the Buffalo Bills. We've also seen Tua, the Dolphins, don't want them to peak too early. They are blowing out bad teams and then coming back to earth against good teams. That is my sole reservation with the Dolphins. Of course, they need to get a defense as well. They need to get a better defensive presence. The Cowboys are also going to be right outside my Super Bowl bubble as well. I really wouldn't have even put the Cowboys into my Super Bowl bubble here if I'm being realistic, because I don't think they're a team that really is going to compete for the Super Bowl. If they're even going to get past the wild card, if they even get past the divisional. And guess what? If they get to the NFC Championship, I'm still not counting on them to win and represent the NFC. We've seen this song and dance time and time again. You get blown out by the best team in the NFL. Yes, they're better than you, but you're one of the top teams in the league, Dallas, or so people tell me. I'm lower on you than most people, but the firepower you present and the way you play in most occasions, it's undeniable. It's absolutely undeniable, but I'm not going to take the bait. I don't trust Dak Prescott to win a big game for this team, to take them to a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl, especially not with Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones at the helm. And the last team here that's right outside my Super Bowl bubble, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are legit this year. I'm shocked by the way they're playing. Jared Goff is very comfortable. David Montgomery stealing carries from Jahmyr Gibbs, as everyone says. All the fantasy owners of Jahmyr Gibbs are pissed. Just wait until Gibbs gets going, though, and I think this could easily scoot into a Super Bowl contending team. The defense has arrived. The Aiden Hutchinsons of the world, the defensive players that are actually with the Detroit Lions, and the numbers that the Lions are putting up, the way that they're able to beat teams. But I need to see it more consistently. We know the streak the Lions had at the end of last year. We know that they were a top 5 defense. They were elite offensively coming into the year. But you still got Jared Goff and Dan Campbell that need to have some playoff solidarity with each other. Maybe if they had already went through a few playoff series here or won a playoff game or two previously, then I'd be okay with that. But I like to see more out of the Lions. So the Super Bowl bubble heading into week 6, and I might update this weekly. Who knows? Niners, Eagles, Chiefs are inside the Super Bowl bubble. They are the 3 teams in the NFL that, without question, could go to and win the Super Bowl. I'd probably take a Niners-Chiefs matchup right now, and I might even take the Niners to win if I'm talking about a right now Super Bowl prediction. Outside the Super Bowl bubble, Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Bills, Ravens. Only 8 teams to me in the NFL right now are Super Bowl contenders. Y'all get in the chat. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think about the Super Bowl bubble that I put out before week 6 of the NFL season.